Hi there! Today we made some cards at my class using stamping sponges and a mask for the moon, which gives you a perfect background to stamp a bold image directly on top. These were a couple of the samples that they made, but I'm going to show you how to make this one from start to finish. You're going to have Whisper White cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. You'll be able to get 8 pieces out of one 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock. You're going to take probably about 3 or 4 Post-it notes at a time. If you try to punch a circle out of one Post-it note, it's likely to tear and not give you a clean punch because it's a little bit thin. You're going to use the 1 3/8 inch circle punch. Just push this lever up to open and make sure that you're putting the sticky part in first, and then give that a quick punch. You can pull these apart. They're going to get pretty wet with the sponging, so I like to have a new one each time. You're just going to place the mask where you want your moon to be. We're going to use Soft Sky first. And when you're sponging, these sponges are cut into quarters. They're round, cut them in half and cut them in half again. You're going to grab it on the straight side like this, and then it'll round the edge here. You're going to pat on your ink pad. You don't have to rub it, just pat it to load up the ink. And you want to start sponging off the paper and gradually work your way onto the cardstock. Being careful not to lift that Post-it note. You want to make sure that stays down. And I like to go in a soft circular motion to get a really soft shading. So just hold that down and start going. And you can see we started mostly off the paper, and then just kind of work your way in. And I'm going to add the ink around the Post-it note first. It's better to have too little ink than too much. Once that ink is on the paper, there's no getting it off. So it's better to be too soft and just keep adding layers. So I'm going to go ahead and continue out here. I don't want to have a straight defined line of sponging, so I want to keep it kind of soft and just keep going. So just soft circular motion and go all the way out. So now I'm going to add a darker shade of blue along the bottom, and I'm going to use Pacific Point. This is a really dark, rich blue, so you want to be very careful not to use too much. So we're going to pat on the ink pad, and we're going to start off the paper and just go in a soft circular motion and work our way in. I like to hit the edges first and then kind of fill in the middle. And you can see how much ink is actually going on the paper. Probably more ink on this paper than the cardstock, but that's really what you need to do to get that soft blending. And if you do happen to get some little streaky parts in with the sponging, just keep sponging. If you just keep adding more layers, it'll eventually blend that out. And you also don't want to try to get all your ink on there with the first little swipe that you make across. You really do want to go over and over and over and kind of build that up. That's going to give you the softest blending of color. So now that I have that dark blue on, I want to go back and add some more of that light blue. So it's okay to kind of go back and forth too. So we're just going to pat that up, and again, make sure that Post-it note does not move. So now I'm just going to kind of blend that in, and you want your colors to overlap too. You don't want to see any start and stop lines with this. We're going to remove the mask. Don't remove that until you're completely happy with how this looks. So you can lift this up, and you have a nice crisp white moon. So I'm going to use a stamp set called Serene Silhouettes. And we could really use either really any of these 3 images. I just happen to like the birds. So I'm going to stamp that in Black Stays On. And I want to make sure that I get it nice and solid black when I stamp it on the paper. So when you go to your Stays On pad, just twist it and then tap. So I'm going to set this down right about here and press firmly. So you can see that some of the branches are stamped over the moon, and I think you can see right there, see the bottom of the branch? It's off the paper. So you want to make sure you go down just a teensy bit for that. and then lift that up. We're gonna layer this to Whisper White cardstock. Now check your fingers here too, because see how I'm a little bit inky right there? So you wanna make sure that if you have ink on your fingers that it's dry and you don't transfer that to your cardstock. So I'm just folding this Whisper White cardstock in half, and I'm gonna go ahead and stamp my greeting before I layer that panel. So we have a stamp set called Really Good Greetings, and it's got some really cute sayings, and I want to stamp this one here at the bottom. So this has some bold lettering also, so I wanna, again, I'm gonna twist, tap, tap. I'm gonna set my cardstock where it's lined up on the grid paper. And then press firmly. I like to add this ribbon in 2 pieces, and I'm gonna add it with these glue dots. So our glue dots are on the outside. Just press each end of the ribbon into a glue dot. I'm gonna place the ribbon right here, off to the side, and I'm just gonna press this around the back. I'm gonna tie a knot. And this is what I call a soft knot. So I'm not pulling it so tight that it makes it really lumpy. It's still kind of a fairly flat knot. And we're going to trim it. And just press your ribbon to the glue dot. If the glue dot happens to be poking out past the ribbon, just fold it onto itself. And then now you can just add it right here. And it looks like it's 1 piece of ribbon, but it uses a little bit less. So we're going to add a little bit more sparkle with some rhinestones. And again, you're going to use your pokey tool. Now these right here are all connected, and I've already cut them apart with an X-Acto knife. So I can use these separately instead of one long strip. So I'm going to put just a couple of rhinestones on here. I don't want to put them on every single branch. I'm going to use 6 dimensionals for the back of that panel. And you can also use your grid paper here. Get your cardstock lined up, and then you can use the lines on the grid paper to help you line up that panel. Isn't that pretty? So really easy. Having this sponged and masked element with a little bit of sparkle and popping that up on dimensionals gives you a really pretty card, and super easy. This card was created the same way, and the colors that we used here, we used Pink Pirouette at the top, Pumpkin Pie, and Rich Razzleberry. And the trick again is you've got to overlap those colors a little bit. So you don't want to see a start and stop line from each colors. You want them to blend and overlap a little bit. So the Pink Pirouette actually went about halfway down and all the way across. And then the Pumpkin Pie overlaps the Pink Pirouette and also the Razzleberry. So if you're not happy with your sponging, just keep sponging until you soften everything out. And this card here used Pink Pirouette at the top and Pacific Point at the bottom. And again, we overlap the pink and the blue, so you get a little bit of purple in the middle there. So I hope you enjoyed these projects. For more ideas, you can visit me at KeenanCreations.com. Thanks, and have a great day.